Well, hello and happy Sunday morning. I actually am filming this Sunday morning and hope to get this up, well, as soon as the internet allows me. I actually usually I've been filming these videos on Saturday and then putting them up on Sunday. And I filmed one last night and it's very low energy. I spent most of yesterday, planting part of a new garden that I'm doing for a friend and now client. It's a lakeside planting. I think it's going to be really cool. I will absolutely share that with you at some point. So don't worry, you won't miss out on that. I thought I would start today. And by the way, Mr. Much More Patient has run to the grocery store to get stuff to make pancakes. So I'm going to make this quick because it's going to be pancake time after this. I thought we'd start this weekend by the Clematis so that we can address a few things from that Clematis video. So if you saw the video, Little Boss Clematis planted in these two planters, tried to get it out to refresh it, turned into like a 6-hour battle because the whole planter's 24-inch cube was chock-a-block with roots after 4 years in there. So, two things that you guys mentioned repeatedly that are completely duh moments for me. Like they are such good suggestions and very logical, and I'm like can only say that maybe I didn't think of these things because my brain is just like on autopilot at this time of year. The first one was using a Sawzall. We own a Sawzall. I've never used it, but I'm sure I could figure it out. A Sawzall would have been a great way to deal with this. I mean, I would have still had to cut the bottom by hand, but I could have certainly done this with the Sawzall. So thank you for that excellent solution. Or suggestion. That would have been fabulous. And the second one, and the biggest one, over and over and over again, why didn't you use the Bunny Guinness bottomless pot thing? So many of you are clearly familiar with this. If you're not, British garden designer Bunny Guinness cuts the bottoms off of pots and then allows the roots to grow in them, which accomplishes exactly what I want here. She wants the look of them, whatever it is, a tree, a shrub, whatever she's planted them, to grow in a pot. She likes that look, which is why I grow these in pots, because that was the other question. But she recognizes that long term, they're not going to be super happy in those pots. So she cuts off the bottom pots, plops them on the ground, roots go into the ground. It works out great. This is the perfect solution for that. These plants are obviously plenty hardy. Actually, I wouldn't have even need to cut the bottom of the pot off because it was slatted. I could have just stuck it straight on the ground. It is irritating to me in the highest degree that it never occurred to me. So thank you for that suggestion. You were all right. It absolutely would have been the thing to do. But it's too late. It's done now. But I will have to redo this job in 3 to 5 years, 3 to 4 years probably. I'm guessing more like 3. So I will be smarter and do it then, assuming these pots are still in one piece. It is starting to rain, but we're going to power through this, and I will go grab an umbrella if need be. Yeah, and then that was the other question of why grow them in pots, especially after that fight? Because I like the look. It is not at all unusual for people to grow things long-term in pots, pull them out every few years, root prune them, and stick them back in the pot again. It's like a pretty established gardening practice, so I don't think it's strange at all, although a lot of people did. And that's partly because this is a gravel floor. Now, I'm trying not to show it to you because I haven't used the weed. We haven't cleaned up the ground here yet. So it's a mess, but this is all gravel in here. And I don't like the look of plants I don't like the look of plants just coming out of gravel. And I don't believe in mulching with gravel ever. I don't like it, not my thing. So that's why. And also because everything in here is a raised bed except for the very side beds where I've got the espaliers and stuff. So to me, it didn't make sense to have just clematis just growing out of the ground here. So that's that. Enough said. You were all right. Why didn't I do the Bunny Guinness thing? Really kicking myself. Oh well, live and learn. All right, let's go take a look at the garden. There are some tulips coming up in here. So I haven't planted tulips in here for 3 years, but here's a couple that are starting to open up. Look at all the strawberries. Holy smokes. Okay. Today's video is going to show you more of what Mother Nature has been up to rather than what I've been up to, because I've been up to precious little. I mentioned last week in this garden stroll video that I was really had a busy week, and I did, so I didn't get around to doing basically anything there. Well, I think last week we looked at, you can see this grassy area there. That's all Carex pennsylvanica. Really happy with how that's filling in. Now there is, I don't know what that is coming up between it. I don't think it's anything troublesome. It's some sort of native thing that planted itself there. Oh, the bulb mound, I think, is kind of, we're on the last stages here. Especially we had a ton of rain last night, more coming today. So things are really getting pounded. But there's lots of beauty in here, and we are doing a video on this, so you'll see it better there. But here's some little white grape hyacinths, which I think are real cute. So I want to show you the butterbur, Hydrangeas japonicus. We talk about this plant, I think, in every single video. Oh, here's some pulmonaria blooming. That one is different from these three, and I don't know which is which off the top of my head. So here's the butterbur. You can see how much it's actually, it has grown since yesterday. When I shot this yesterday, these leaves are bigger, I swear to God. So here's my hand for reference. So these will get about 18 inches across eventually. And all the green you see through the woods here, this is still the skunk cabbage. So here's what the skunk cabbage looks like now. It doesn't smell unless you step on it like I just did, and then there's kind of a skunky odor. To me, it looks like a shiny leaf hosta. And it's really beautiful through the woods here. Obviously, I planted the butterbur. None of the skunk cabbage was planted by us. Basically, everything in these woods over here, that if it's there, other than a tree, it put itself there. I'm shocked that this little serviceberry appears to have made it. This poor thing has been tortured. I was going to replace it this year, but there it is trying to leaf out and flower, so we'll give it another year. But it's struggling. I wanted to come over here and show you the May apples, which are just starting to open. And to me, if there's ever a fairy tale plant, it's got to be May apples. Because look at those little umbrellas. They're so beautiful. Again, I didn't plant these here. This area right here, it's a little sad. Used to be in a lot more shade before we started losing trees left and right. So there used to be a ton of trilliums in here. There's still a few left. They're not coming up yet. And there are some I see a ramp over there, but I see even the ramp population. Here, I'll show you the ramps so you know what you're looking at when you see ramps. This is wild garlic, aka ramps. I usually just eat the leaves. If you eat the bulbs, you're only supposed to take one out of them. I see some throughout here, but it's nothing compared to what it used to be because now this area is in a lot more sun than it used to be. So that's kind of a sad thing. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that was open during this video when I filmed it yesterday is not anymore, but here's the Hylomecon japonica. H-Y-L-O-M-E-C-O-N, Hylomecon japonica. It's a Japanese woodland poppy that I mentioned last week, but it was open yesterday and now it's just not because rain, no sun, you get it. The Crown Imperial fritillaries that were just starting to open last week are now fully open, and really this little cluster of them right here is really the best. So beautiful. Should we make that the screenshot? Probably. The first flowers on the Asian pear have opened, which is, you know, nice to see. By the way, it looks like I've fully lost this middle branch. It's really interesting how this has happened, but I've lost that edge there ages ago, and now it looks like I've fully lost the whole left side of that middle one. It's fine. I think we don't need perfection to have beauty. I want to take you over by the woods. We put oranges out because we thought maybe the Orioles would be early this year. Usually they come at Mother's Day, but so far it's just been the red-winged blackbirds who have been eating them, and I don't need to feed those guys. They don't need my oranges. I wanted to show you the ferns, which are in different, this is the ostrich ferns, which will fill up. This whole area will be absolutely filled with ostrich ferns. And some are just starting to emerge like this. And that is like close to the stage at which you'd pick them if you were gonna eat them as fiddleheads. But some of them, like this one, are, you know, 18 inches tall already and starting to unfurl. It's quite interesting. But there are many, 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 many in here. It's beautiful, but I tell you, before you plant ostrich ferns in your garden, be cautious because they're runners. We mow this area, and we're mowing ostrich ferns, and all of this that you see here is ostrich fern debris. So obviously this is our woodland area. We don't manage this at all. There are some poppies in here. I think I mentioned last week, I probably planted a few of these. A lot of these have just ended up in here, I think. Some Virginia bluebells, which are going to be the main focus of this video. So as I said in last week's video, the Virginia bluebells are blooming now. And really the densest population of them is over here. And they're so beautiful. I mean, this is so beautiful. Now these I probably planted a couple of them here, but these are self-sowers in my garden, and that whole area back there. These are all self-sowers in my garden. They move themselves around. And the nicest thing about these is that I can cut this foliage out of here at any time. So when these are done blooming, I don't wait for anything else. I just cut the foliage back. They come back no matter what. They are so tough. So I think of them as really good. I mean, this is a great weed suppressant at this time of year. And you do have to be careful. Like there's a lady's mantle hiding in there. He'll be fine. So I just pull them out where I don't want them, or actually I will pull or cut them off. And a lot of times what I do is I just let them do their thing, and then I will go in there and cut them off, clear out that area so that the perennials that are underneath there can get some sun. The lady's mantle in here has been growing quite a bit. And of course, this is the best thing that lady's mantle does, is it holds moisture on it like that. And it's so pretty. It's like little diamonds in there. Even some of my double daffodils are starting to bloom now, and those are usually the last of them. It's crazy because this is when we might be seeing our first daffodils in many years. The double bloodroot is pretty much done blooming. You can see it just drops its petals there on the ground, and now the leaves will get much bigger. So the flowers come and then the leaves grow up around it. I don't know if I've talked about this in one of these garden strolls yet or not, but I wanted to point out this plant over here. This is lemony lime elderberry. You might remember this from the urn that I planted last year. So this was the centerpiece of last year's urn. It was featured in the Proven Winners idea book. I actually worked on that container concept with them because they were kind of planning ahead for that. And I told them I didn't want to do the same thing we see in all their recipes. Hang on, let me turn the camera around. So yeah, when we started talking about that, you know, this would have been a year ago in January probably, and they had asked if I wanted to be involved in the idea book, and we talked about what that meant, etc. And so I said, well, let's do a planter that is specifically Proven Winners plants, because I do a lot of containers, and I think you guys know that I mix in all kinds of crazy stuff, sometimes crazy, sometimes normal, but I rarely do a container that's just one brand's plants. But because they were going to feature it in the idea book, they were obviously looking for something that was strictly Proven Winners plants. And I didn't post a lot about it last year out of sort of respect for them to kind of unveil that a little bit in the idea book. But I really wanted an exciting centerpiece for that. And I didn't want to just follow one of their recipes. I mean, if people want to follow their recipes, they don't need me to be in their idea book. They can just go to their website and look at their recipes. So I was trying to come up with something that would be really interesting there. So we planted this lemony lime elderberry in there. And at the end of the season, I took, and like late too, by the way, I took it out of there, planted it over here in the garden, and take a look at this thing. We've got flower buds like crazy, lots of foliage, and it's very happy. And I love this because, you know, a lot of people probably looked at that and said, okay, that's like a, I don't know, what is it, that shrub crop is, it probably costs $35 maybe. Like, that's a really expensive centerpiece for a container, but it's not if you're going to put it in the ground and enjoy it. Now we'll see how this makes it. I've had this plant in my garden before, and both times I've lost it to verticillium wilt. So I do have verticillium issues in this garden. So we'll see how this guy does. Clearly it's very happy right now. That's usually how it works with verticillium wilt, though. It catches you by surprise. Now I want to show you the climbing hydrangea, and then we're going to take a look at some panicle hydrangeas. So this is one of the two climbing hydrangeas, and look how much it's leafed out. And in fact, those might even be the very start of flower buds that we're seeing in there. So lots of leaves, nice, beautiful, shiny, like just the most gorgeous shiny foliage on these. I gave it a good amount of fertilizer yesterday before we had all the rain. I would love to see this guy make it to the pergola this year. The pergola, which needs a paint job. One more thing to do this spring. So, okay, so that's the climbing hydrangea, and that's what some of my hydrangea serratas, the mountain hydrangeas, look like. So let's take a look at a hydrangea paniculata, because this is the time of year when people freak out because they see other hydrangeas with lots of leaves on them. And then this is what their hydrangea paniculatas look like. Can you even see those tiny little buds? I mean, that's it. So any of my, you know, my limelights, my bobos, almost imperceptible leaves on them. So don't worry about it. If that's what yours look like, that's how it works. You can see growing up through here maybe that I've got, this is Prince Charles Clematis. This is a group 3 Clematis that I leave long because I want it blooming up through here. So I'll have to prune off some of the dead tips there, but I want height on that. I want it blooming at the tips. So that's why I choose to do it that way. Same deal with the Virginia Bluebells in here. You know, remember, this is a garden that the back has, you know, a lot of perennial plantings in it, but much of this is annuals and dahlias because this is where I like to plant many of my dahlias. So there are big holes in this garden in the off season. And this is a really nice way to fill some of them, is with these Virginia Bluebells. And like I said, I pull them out with no guilt whatsoever where I don't want them. And it's like planting in reverse. The plants have been planted for you. All you have to do is pull them out instead of deciding where you want to plant a plant and then planting it. Does that make sense? Oh, here, we haven't talked about roses yet, and I do need to train this guy a little bit. But look, last year I finally got rid of my, I think it was called Autumn Sunset Rose. Beautiful climbing rose. It was gorgeous. But I had so much cane dieback so often, and I was really, really sick of constantly having to start over with it every year and protect it in winter if I didn't want the canes to grow back. So I planted it in Above and Beyond. Lots of people have this. Caleb at Wise Guy grows this very successfully in his Iowa garden. Katie and Matt, suburban gardening couple in the Chicago area, plant this, and it does really well for them. So I'm happy with the growth that we have here. I have trained it. As you can see, I'm sort of training these branches. I like to sort of weave them back and forth in an S shape because you get more flowers with horizontal when you train roses horizontally, because the flowering spurs come off of here. So there you get. Does that make sense? It's very early. I haven't had breakfast. Just that's how it works. Sorry, guys. My two little cordon columnar apples are finally starting to leaf out a little bit. And let's just pop over to go see some daffodils. Oh, there's hostas popping up all over the place that were not here a week ago. Also, that's all lily of the valley. But here are some hostas popping up through here. There's a lot of sweet woodruff in here too. I kind of beat back the sweet woodruff where I don't want it, and that's mostly how I manage it. Some epimedium. This is Solomon seal starting to come up through here, which I know a lot of people say that Solomon seal is actually a little invasive for them. I wish it were a little invasive. No, I don't ever wish an invasive. I wish mine were a little bit more aggressive. Have I shown you the primulas? I think I told you that a friend who is the head gardener at a really amazing, notable garden just down the road, he loves primulas, and he shared some of his own breedings with me last year. So these are some of them. I mean, I think that's a pretty common one, probably. I love them. I hope they're happy here. I have them planted in a couple other spots too. I love these. I would love these to reseed all over my garden. I think they're the most charming little things. I think you can see that the daffodils are just, we're at peak daffodil here, I would say. Pretty much all the varieties are up kind of at once, which is unusual. But it's really pretty looking out through here from the house. And other things are coming up. This is the Hackalochloa coming up. This is Aureola, which is the stripy one. And here, over here, I mean, there's just little things to be appreciated here. Now, okay, I identified this plant last year, and now I've forgotten what it is. I don't think it's a good thing. I love this little grape hyacinth, this little like ombre grape hyacinth. I think it's so pretty. This is where did I show you this last week? I dug out one of my transparent grasses for that lakeside garden. I couldn't find any to buy, so I just dug one out of my garden and divided it and put it into their garden. It was actually a little crowded over there anyway. And then, like, I haven't been over to any of these gardens to do anything in them yet. So it's actually a miracle they look as good as they do, and I would say they don't look good. So that is sort of what's happening here. I have so much to do in the garden, but like I said, it's going to rain all day. I think I'm going to work through the rain quite a bit. That's kind of part of the plan, because that's what we have to do. But work lets up a little bit this week, so I'm probably going to take a day or two off for intensive gardening days. Use a little vacation time in garden. So I hope you guys are having a great day in your garden. Hope you enjoyed the little stroll. We'll see you this week. Just a little teaser for this week. Pretty sure the banana's coming out of the storage. So there should be a banana video, and we will see how it did this winter. That's always a really interesting, well, I should say always. This is only the second time we've brought it out of storage. We'll see how it goes, because it's always a little iffy. So anyway, that's the sort of a preview for what's coming this week. Thank you for watching. Have a great Sunday and a great week. We'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.